Hi everybody, welcome to Lesson 3, Quiz 2 Explanation. As always, if you haven't finished the Moodle quiz yet, please do go to Moodle and complete the quiz there. Remember, this recording will not look exactly the same as Moodle. The recording is based on the original textbook, which had 5 options for every question. However, as the new GD exam only has 4 options, the Moodle quiz that you completed has one of those options removed. But the rest of the recording should match what you've been doing. Let's have a look together. So we get to number 1, and number 1 says, which of the following best restates the key point of this excerpt? And you think, oh no, this excerpt is so long, it's over 70 lines long, and I have to read the whole thing before I can find out what the main point, what the main idea of this is? Well, no, not really. If you look at the first paragraph, the introduction will kind of tell you the topic that you're looking at. So even the most basic auto insurance policies contain a number of key provisions. So all policies have key things that they have. These include liability coverage, which then is in the start of paragraph 2, limits and declarations, which comes down here, medical payment coverage, which is over here, underinsured, uninsured motorists, which is here, collision coverage, which is down here, and then comprehensive coverage, which is the last paragraph. So what the introduction is saying is all insurance policies, all auto, we're talking about automobile, car, so all car insurance agreements, contracts, have a number of key things in them. And then there's a list of what these things are. And then each paragraph explains one of these things. So we can say that the main point is that all car insurance have certain basic things. Now, it's not saying every owner should be insured. I mean, you might get that by reading it, but this is not saying that's not the main point. The main point is not to give you advice. The main point is to describe what car insurance includes. Car insurance is a necessary evil. Is it necessary but evil? Needed but horrible? Well, this is going to describe what's included. That would be giving an opinion. Number 3, all auto insurance, even the most basic auto insurance, so all auto insurance have certain basic features, have a number of key provisions. Key provisions would be basic features. Number 3 looks like it could be the best answer. Number 4, liability is more important than collision. Well, liability is here, collision is here, but this is not going to be the main point because it misses out the limits, declarations, comprehensive, uninsured, and medical payments. And number 5, those covered by insurance have a myriad of choices from which to pick. Well, it's not talking about the choices that you pick, it's talking about the basic features that are included. That's why the answer is number 3. And you kind of get that from the title. Titles can sometimes be really helpful. You look at the title, what does your auto policy cover? Basically, what does it include? So number 2, imagine that you have liability coverage. So we should start by finding liability coverage. That's here. You have liability coverage for your car. Which of the following drivers would it protect based on this excerpt? So liability coverage protects you from damage your car does to others, damage for which you are legally responsible. If an accident occurs in which someone is injured or killed, it covers you and family members or relatives who live with you under these circumstances. You are driving your own car. You are driving another car with the owner's permission, or a family member or relative is driving your car with your permission. So these are the 3 circumstances that are covered. And we need to compare each of the answers in number 2 to these 3 circumstances. So number 1, your son who lives with you is driving his own car. But look, it's when a family member is driving your car, not when a family member is driving their own car. So number 1 is wrong. If the son was driving your car, yes. But if the son is driving his own car, no. Number 2, your son who borrowed your car without permission. But it says with your permission, not without your permission. So number 2 is not true. 3, you, okay, while driving a car borrowed from your neighbor. So you are driving another car with that owner's permission. Yes, that's fine. So it can be from your neighbor, it can be from a friend. It does not say it has to be a relative. It just says you are driving somebody else's car with their permission. So number 3 is covered. Number 4, a friend to whom you lent the car. Well, it says a family member. It doesn't say a friend, it says a family member. So number 4 is wrong. And 5, a friend who crashed into your car. No, it's you driving your car, you driving somebody else's car, or your family driving your car. Question 3. Based on the information in the excerpt, which of the following would be considered a declaration? Line 30 of the insurance policy. So, the limits tell you the maximum amounts for which you are covered. The declarations indicate the limits you've chosen. The limit you have chosen. Okay? So, a limit tells you the maximum amount. The declaration explains what you have chosen. So you can choose different amounts. If you choose a higher amount, you'll have to pay more money. So the declaration is how much you have chosen to be insured for. So it's not the amount that you will be paying, it's the maximum amount that they will pay you if something goes wrong. The type of insurance you are choosing and the provisions it contains, it's not the provisions it contains, it's the limits that it contains. Okay? The declarations show the limits that you've chosen, not the provision, not the type of coverage. Number 3, the greatest amount. Okay, well, a limit is the maximum amount, the greatest amount, the maximum amount, that makes sense, that the insurance company will pay if you injure somebody. Yes, because you chose the maximum, so the declaration will show you the maximum that you have chosen. So number 3 is the correct answer. Number 4, factual information is a little bit too broad. It's not about the insurance company. It's about the limit that you have chosen. And number 5, a statement defines violations of the contract. We're not talking about the violations. We're talking about the declarations. Okay? Okay, so it's not violations, it's declarations. Number 4, based on the description in the excerpt in which the phrase liability coverage, which of the following could have the same meaning? Coverage when the insured is what? Okay. So liability coverage protects you from damage your car does to others. Damage for which you are legally responsible. Okay. If an accident occurs in which somebody is injured or killed, it covers you and the family members or relatives that you live with. Liability coverage pays the insured for legal defense costs, bail bonds costs, and emergency first aid to the injured. It pays other people whom you've injured for property damage and loss of services, injury, sickness, even death. So, coverage when the insured is guilty of causing an accident. Guilty of causing an accident. What? Is it guilty? It does say that it protects your car, protects you from damage that your car does to others, for which you are responsible. Okay? Now that could be somebody else is driving the car. It doesn't mean that the insured person is driving the car. It could be the insured person, or it could be somebody that the insured person has lent the car to. So number one is true, but it's a little bit too specific. Number two is responsible for damage. Yes. Damage to people or damage to property. Okay. It says protects you from the first sentence, damage that your car does to others, damage for which you are legally responsible. And then the paragraph explains what the damage is in greater detail. Seriously injured, okay, but it doesn't only say injured, it also says legal defense costs, bail bond costs, that's when you're arrested, and it says property damage. So it's not only talking about injury, it's talking about property and legal costs. When the insured does not have adequate coverage, no, this is total coverage for the insured person. And permission to drive the car, well, this is going to be part of the answer, but it's too specific, it's too detailed. Okay, so answers number 1, 3, and 5 are very detailed. Number 4 is not supported by the paragraph. The only one that is broad enough to try and include all of the paragraph is number 2. And it's one of those examples where you start to think about main, broad, and narrow to answer the question. Number 5. You ran off the road into a tree which toppled over and broke a pedestrian's arm. What type of coverage would pay for the pedestrian's hospital visit? Okay. So liability, medical payment, underinsured, uninsured, collision, or comprehensive. Now let's look at some of these. Comprehensive applies to most other damage to your car. You choose the limits, the deductibles, and what you pay first. So comprehensive is about damage to the car. It's not about medical. So takeaway number 5. Collision pays for damage when your car hits another car or an object. It's talking about the value of the car and the damage done. It's not talking about medical treatment, so we can take away number 4. Uninsured, underinsured pays for damage to you and your property, not other people, when somebody that hits you does not have insurance. So this is not about what you do to others, this is about what people do to you. So now you have liability or medical payment. So medical payments coverage pays for the emergency medical treatment required after an accident. It repays regardless of who was at fault. It covers the insured, covered passengers, and the covered family members. Okay, it pays for the person that's insured, it pays for the people that are in the car, and it pays for other family members. It does not say that it pays for other people in the street. So maybe number 2 is wrong. Even though it's got that word medical, maybe it's not medical because it doesn't include people who are walking in the street. The pedestrian means people walking down the street. But how about liability? Liability coverage protects you from damage that you do to other people. Okay. It can cover emergency first aid, and it pays for other people who you've injured. So people that you injured. So if your car hit the tree hit the person, you injured that person because you hit the tree. And liability would cover that. So you have to look very carefully because both number 1 and number 2 talk about medical care. But number 2 is talking about medical care for the people that are driving and family members. Number 1 is talking about medical care more generally for people that you have hurt. 6. Imagine that you own an older car that is not worth very much. You own an old car that is not worth very much. Which 2 coverages would probably be of least benefit to you? Okay, so look at something that is not very important to you. Imagine you have a really old car, a 20-year-old car or a 30-year-old car. Which type of insurance would not be useful? Well, comprehensive coverage applies to other damage for your car. You choose the limits, you choose the amount that's deductible. So if you've got a really, really old car and you have an accident, you might not think it's important to fix your car because your car was not worth very much. So comprehensive is not going to be important. So we should be including comprehensive care because if your car is very old, you don't want to fix, you just sell it for whatever you can get and then you buy a new car. Now, comprehensive is included in number 4 and number 5. Number 4 says comprehensive and medical, but medical care is for medical treatment. If you have an accident, you always need to get medical treatment. You always need to pay for that medical treatment. You're not going to say, because my car is old, I don't want medical treatment. No, if you break your arm, you fix your arm. If you break your leg, you want to fix your leg. Medical treatment will always be important. But how about collision? Collision pays for damage from your car to your car, damage to your car resulting from an accident with another car or object. It pays for the repair of your car up to the value of the car, taking into account its age, use, wear, and tear. So if your car is very old, they will not give you much money. They are only going to fix your car, and if your car is old, they will give you very little money. So having collision coverage when your car is old is not very valuable because they will not give you much money when your car is old. See, it's got that word age there. So think about old car, not worth very much, so collision. Number 7. Imagine that you borrowed money to buy a new car. Which two coverages would the loan company probably require? So this is the opposite. This time we have a new car and you borrow the money from a company and you have to pay that company. If you fail to pay the company will take your car. So the company want to make sure that your car is protected. They're not going to care about you, okay? They're not going to care about you because they will want to make sure that your car is protected, not that you are protected. So collision coverage will pay for damage to your car resulting from an accident. And comprehensive coverage applies to other damage on your car. So it's the opposite of the previous question. If you have bought a car by borrowing money, the company that lends the money to you will make sure that your car is protected until they get their money back. Because if you do not pay them, they want to take the car away from you. And if the car is damaged, they will lose the valuable thing. So answer number 7. For question number 7, the answer is number 3. Comprehensive and collision. Now, number 8. The deductible in line 69. So you can choose limits on these coverages as well as the amount of your deductible. The deductible is the loss amount that you agree to pay out of pocket before the insurance company reimburses you. So the deductible is the amount of money you agree to pay yourself before the insurance company starts to pay. How might a high deductible benefit you? So you might say you want a low deductible. You say you will pay for the first $100 of damage, and everything more than $100 of damage, the insurance company will pay. Or you could say that you will pay for the first $1,000 of damage, and then more than $1,000, then the insurance company will pay. So when we think about this, why would an insurance company like you to have a high deductible? Well, that means that they will be less responsible. They will have to give you less money. And many accidents that you have, for example, if you hit a car in the marketplace, it might only cost $500 or $600 to fix. So that means that you will have to pay that by yourself because your deductible might be $1,000. So if you are taking more responsibility, the insurance company will ask you for less money. It's not going to give you more coverage. More coverage is about the things that they cover. So number 1 is going to be wrong. It will lower your insurance payment. If you are asking them to pay less money, then you have to pay less for the insurance. Number 2 is correct. Improving your cash flow, well, yes, but it's about the insurance company. Why would this help you? Improving your cash flow is just too broad. It's not about the insurance. Number 4, it might reduce small claims that can drive up the cost of insurance. True, but reducing small claims actually benefits the insurance company. It does not benefit you. And number 5, lowering your risk to the insurance company is something that will help the insurance company. It is not something that is going to help you. Last question. Which of the following patterns is used by this excerpt to introduce the basic features of an automobile insurance policy? Now, number 1, in time order, in chronological order, is wrong. It's not first, later, third, fourth, last. No, this is not time order. So take away number 1. And it's not comparing and contrasting. Comparing and contrasting would show you the similarities and differences between each of these items. But actually, this is a description of this. This is a description of this. Number 4, problem and solution. There is no problem and solution. There is a type of coverage and an explanation. So we got 2 answers left. Is it in order of their importance, or is it showing the cause and the effect relationships? I think it's difficult to choose. There's no cause and effect relationship, that's sure, but I'm not sure that I would say they are more important. But if you think, okay, the first one, liability, includes medical insurance, and the second one, medical payments, also includes medical things. You might say that medical, taking care of people's physical injury, is more important than taking care of something physical to your car. People's lives are more important than damage to a car. So you might say that they are in order of importance because the things that deal with medical care for people are listed before things that deal with damage to the car. So that's the reason why number 3 is correct. But it's not a very easy question. Okay, that's the end of this lesson. We'll continue tomorrow in the next. Osla Saikode.